Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicki and you're with Gravy in the Kitchen. If you are new here and you're coming from Judy's, A Girl in the Garden, I just want to say hi and welcome. If you found my channel by accident, just happened upon it, welcome to the family. And if you've been here for a while, I want to say thank you and welcome back. So today we're going to be making cinnamon rolls. Not just cinnamon rolls. We're going to get creative with this recipe. But first, I need to fill my yeast bag. So I took out my backup yeast from the freezer, and I'm going to put some in our convenient bag that we keep in the kitchen freezer. So when I get my yeast from Azure Standard, it's 5 pounds and it's an active dry yeast. I remove the top that comes with the paper bag and I just put it in a vacuum seal bag and I vacuum it. I vacuum seal it and just stick it in the freezer. So I'm just going to cut just below that seal line so I can reuse this bag. I'm going to put it back in the same vacuum seal bag. And then I'm just going to re-vacuum seal this bag. And now this will go back into the freezer until we need some more. And after we make our cinnamon rolls, this will go back into the kitchen freezer. Don't be scared to buy yeast in bulk because it freezes well. I do remove the air by vacuum sealing it. That way I know I have a longer shelf life. This is still good. I am really slacking this month. I did not get an Azure order the month of August, but I do have one coming in October. And I do have butter on my list, but I don't have any butter in my house. So I went ahead and took out 2 jars of heavy cream I had in the freezer so I can make some butter. It's still just a tad bit frozen. Oh, let's see if we can use this. Alright, I'm going to have to let it thaw a little bit more. Plus I have a half a pint that I'm using that we got from this week's milk. So I do want to come in here every now and then and scrape the bowl down just to make sure we're getting all of that whipped cream or heavy cream to turn into butter. We don't want nothing left behind. So now we're at Salt Peaks. So I just got to mix it a little bit longer. And I am putting it on setting 5. That way it's whipping in a lot of air. So now we have some stiff peaks of this heavy cream. Now we're going to go beyond that and it'll turn into butter. So it's starting to separate ever so slightly. And again, I just want to give it a good scrape down the edges. It is starting to separate. Beautiful. It is taking a little bit longer than normal, and I think it's because my heavy cream was really, really cold. And there we go. We have butter. So that is our butter. We need to massage it. I did put some water in the refrigerator to get it nice and cold. All right, let's get our butter off of the whisk. We don't want to waste any of this goodness. All right, now we're going to go in here and collect it. Squeeze as much of that buttermilk as we can out. Into the cold water. Right, now we're just going to knead it just a little bit in here. Make sure we keep all the butter together. We're going to squeeze as much of that buttermilk as we can out. All right, let me go wash my beautiful buttered hands. We're not going to waste this buttermilk. This will make great biscuits. So we're going to take our butter and put it on some parchment paper. I'm going to pick up all the little bits and pieces that are in here. Do not want to waste that. Now if you use unsalted butter, this is where you would stop and just shape it. I always use salted butter. So I'm just going to add some Redmond's real salt. Now I'm going to massage that in using the parchment paper and a spatula, just kneading that salt right in here. In doing so, it's going to release some more of that buttermilk, and we'll just drain that off. I try to put somewhere between an 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Alright, that is good enough. See how easy that was, guys? So easy. And I'm using the parchment paper just to make a rectangle. Again, sopping up any of that buttermilk. So that gave us 10.5 ounces. Now that we have our butter, we have our yeast. Now we're going to go ahead and get started on those cinnamon rolls. Now when I make cinnamon rolls, I make a double batch. And each batch will give you 12 cinnamon rolls. So we'll have 24 cinnamon rolls. But I put them in 3 pans of 8 each. So double batch gives me 3 pans. And these 3 pans, we're going to do something different with each one. So let's go back to the KitchenAid and get started on our dough. Now this is the same mixing bowl we use to make our butter. Not even going to bother washing it. It's good. It's got butter in it. We're going to put butter in our cinnamon rolls. I do have 3 cups of water, 8.5 teaspoons of yeast, 2/3 cups of sugar, all right, we're going to let that bloom. Our yeast is bloomed. Beautiful. This is our homemade butter. I melted 3/4 cup of butter. We're going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of salt. I have 2 eggs. We're just going to beat that up just a bit. And then we're going to add our eggs and slowly add in 9 cups of flour. Now we're going to go ahead and move this over to the island. I'm going to go ahead and put my yeast back into the kitchen freezer so it'll stay fresh till the next time we use it. We're going to put some flour down on our bench. Then we're going to hand knead this just for a few minutes, just to get some of this flour incorporated so it's not so sticky. Now remember, this is 2 batches of cinnamon rolls. That I'm going to make 3 pans out of. Alright, that looks good. Let's bring it all together. Pinch that in really nicely. Put some flour. Okay. Let's move our flour out of the way and we'll clean up in just a second. We're going to add some olive oil to this bowl. So the side that we pinched together is the bottom. The other side is the top. So we're going to put top down. Swish, swish, swish. Turn. We're going to cover it with plastic wrap. And then we're just going to set this on the stove just to get it out of our way till it doubles in size. In the meantime, I'm going to wash dishes and get my kitchen reset. In this pot I have 2 cups of sugar and a half a cup of water. Then we're going to bring this to a boil and let it caramelize. And we're just going to stir it until we can get the sugar melted. Once the sugar melts, we won't touch it anymore. We're going to cook this. We're not going to touch it, stir it, or anything. And let it cook until it becomes an amber color. The only thing we are supposed to do is just give it a swirl and just let it continue to boil. So you can see it turning an amber color. That took about 8 minutes. We'll turn it down to a low heat. I have 3/4 cups of butter. We're going to add in and whisk it. If it's starting to bubble over, remove it from the flames. Ooh, that smells so good. It already smells like caramel. I'm adding just a little bit at a time. have the flame off. Ooh, that's hot. You want to make sure all that butter is melted in the sugar water mixture. I have 1 cup of heavy cream. We need to add 2 tablespoons of vanilla. And a pinch of salt. Our caramel sauce is done. Now we need to let this cool off, but I do want to taste it. Family, that is so good. That is so good. Alright, so in order to make the caramel rolls, this needs to cool off completely. But I do want to go ahead and get started on the cinnamon rolls and the pumpkin rolls. We're going to make the filling for the cinnamon rolls. And here I have a 1/4 cup of melted butter. We'll need a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and I'm eyeballing it. And 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Get everything mixed together really well. I do have the oven preheating to 350 degrees. Alright, in this second bowl, we're going to make the pumpkin filling. So I have just canned pumpkin. I'm going to measure about a 1/2 cup. Pumpkin pie spice, we're going to do 1 teaspoon. Brown sugar, we're going to do about a 1/4 cup. Perfect. We have our pumpkin filling, our brown sugar cinnamon filling. Sorry, my battery died. I had to switch the battery out. But I have 2 pie plates that I coated with some butter. We're going to set these aside. Here is our cinnamon dough. And I'm going to go ahead and divide this into 3s. Look at that. That is so beautiful. Like, you could weigh it if you wanted to, but I am not going to bother with that. All right, so that's should be about 1/3. And that's 1/3. I got the other 2 pieces covered. Now we need to go ahead and get this rolled out. Now we're not going to put no flour or anything on our surface. We're just going to let the oil that is on this dough work for us. Trying to get it into our best of a rectangle we can, considering we started off with a triangle. I should be able to get about 8 from this 1/3 piece. Now I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch on this side with no filling on it. We're going to do the cinnamon first, and this already has the butter in it, so we don't need to put any butter on our dough. All right, spread that out as evenly as possible, going all the way to the edge on this side, but leaving a 1/2 inch on the end that is closest to me. Trying to get it as closest to the edge as possible. Oh, that looks good. Now we're going to roll it starting on this end, coming to this end, so that this 1/2 inch will seal it. And we're going to pull and roll at the same time. Make sure we get it really, really tight. Right, stretch and fold it over. Beautiful. Now this seam right here is going to be the bottom. We're going to get one of our prepared pie plates, and we're going to cut this into 8s. So we'll cut it in half and into quarters, and then I'm going to cut each quarter in half. There we go. We'll put them about a 1/2 inch away from each other. Now we're going to cover this with some plastic wrap, and then we want it to do a second rise, and it should double in size again. Set this aside. Let's get another 1/3. And again, we're going to roll it out. If I had to pick my favorite dough to work with, this would be it. It is so forgiving. so easy to make, so easy to maneuver. This is my favorite dough. We're trying to get it into a nice little triangle the best we can. Now, since we did not put butter in our pumpkin mixture, I do want to put butter on our dough. So we're just going to lather maybe a tablespoon to tablespoon and a half of butter all over this dough. And it works a lot easier if you have room temperature or softened but not melted butter. All right, that looks good right there. Now we're going to spread our mixture. Just going to use the same spatula because it's okay. It was just cinnamon and brown sugar. Cinnamon is in pumpkin pie spice. Brown sugar was in our mixture, so that is okay. All right, spread that out. Again, I want to go this way. I want to leave a 1/2 inch on this side with no filling. But I do want the filling to go all the way to the end on this end. Besides the grandsons, I need to make sure I take some of this to work and share it with the ladies at my work. They would enjoy this. All right, so we're kind of working sideways here, but we're going to start rolling it up from this end. And again, pull and roll at the same time. Make sure we get it nice and tight. We're going to pick up this end and wrap it around, stretching as we're going. Oh, look at that, it's beautiful. Again, that seam, it's going to be the bottom. Our second pie plate is ready for us. Cut it in half. Cut it in quarters. And then cut each quarter in half. So we'll have 8 pieces. Again, about a 1/2 inch separation in the pan. Cover this one up with plastic wrap. So I just wrote on the plastic wrap, this is cinnamon and this is pumpkin. And we're going to let them sit right here until they double in size. We're still waiting for the caramel to cool off. I did put it in the refrigerator so it could cool off a little faster. And then the dough, I also stuck it in the refrigerator so it won't rise any more than it needs to. I'm hoping to get all these in the oven at the same time, but if I don't, that's okay. We'll cook the caramel later, but we need to wait for these to rise. So I have a third pan for the caramel rolls. I'm going to butter this one up just like I did the other one. There we go. dough, nice and buttered. So I put a little bit of caramel in a bowl so it'll cool off a little quicker. I do want to add some caramel to the bottom of this pan. I am telling you, family, that is so good. All right, that is all we're going to do to the pan right now. We're going to take the last bit of the dough out. And we're going to stretch this just like we did the other two. I had it in the refrigerator until the caramel sauce cooled off a bit. Try to get it into a triangle. Rolling it to about 1/4 of an inch thick. That is the goal. That looks good right there. Okay, we're going to do it just like we did with the other ones. We're going to leave a 1/2 inch right here with no sauce on it. Probably putting about 1/4 of a cup. If I had some pecans, I would make it even better, but I don't have any pecans, and we're not going to the store to buy it. That looks really good. This is my first time making caramel rolls, so we'll see. Let's start rolling it up. We're going to do the same thing we did with the other ones. We're going to cut them in half, quarters, and then each quarter we're going to cut in half. Perfect. We're going to cover that with plastic wrap and let it rise and double in size. And this caramel will not go to waste. Might add this to my coffee in the morning. Ooh, that would be so good. This one is the cinnamon rolls. Look how that is rising. And our pumpkin rolls. And our caramel rolls that we just did. So I can't put the rolls in the oven yet because I have dinner in there right now. But as soon as the dinner comes out, we'll turn the oven up to 400 and we'll start cooking the rolls. I have the oven preheating to 375. And we're going to go ahead and put in the cinnamon and the pumpkin rolls. And then as soon as the caramel rolls finish rising, we'll put those in the oven. Go ahead and start. The cinnamon rolls are on the left. Pumpkin rolls going to be on the right. I think 30 minutes is how long it's going to take. I'm going to set a timer. But we'll keep an eye on it just in case. So it took 25 minutes for the cinnamon and the pumpkin rolls to get done. Now we're going to go ahead and put our caramel rolls in the oven. And we're going to cook those for 25 minutes. So now we're going to make a glaze to go on top of each one of these rolls. So we're going to put some powdered sugar in a bowl. Maybe a cup to a cup and a half. We're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla and just a little bit of milk. Perfect. Then we're going to whisk this to get all the lumps out. Perfect. We have cinnamon, caramel, and pumpkin. Let's see if we made enough for all three. Oh yeah, we did good. There we go. 3 different rolls. Cinnamon, caramel, pumpkin. So I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me in the kitchen today as we made 3 different kind of rolls. Cinnamon rolls, pumpkin rolls, and a caramel roll. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I would love to have you part of the Grammy family. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Really helps the channel grow. And if you're coming from Girl in the Garden, welcome. I hope you come back more often. So this was hashtag bread making October. It's been a success so far. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Don't forget, next week Judy's going to be doing a video. And if you haven't seen the video she did last week, go check that one out also. Bye family. Y'all have a blessed day.